Now I'm going to break down for you the sales job environments. Okay. So first off, you got the boiler room / call center. This is the lowest level of sales. You're going to be expected to do like 200 to 300, maybe even 400 calls per day, depending on how brutal they are. 2 to 3 hours per day on the phone. You're not going to have to do outside sales, and all they care about is you hitting your numbers. The perks, absolutely none. The rundown is the call centers are usually run by mid-sized to large companies operating legally, or are a department within a large company. Most companies use call centers as a low-level sales force to sell low-margin, short sales cycle, shitty products in large volume. I view call centers as like a giant zombie army as opposed to a team of professionals. You know, they're the guys who you see standing outside of the building, you know, smoking cigarettes every 10 minutes because their jobs are so shitty. And just, you know, pick kids from a poor neighborhood, make them read off a script, whip their backs to make 300-400 cold calls a day. You know, it's like the modern day slave, you know, factory. They're the modern day factory workers. And I've worked in call centers. They're fucking horrible. You know, the culture is horrendous. Sometimes it's an illegal or highly unethical activities going on, with the exception of call centers run by large companies. You know, I worked for one in Montreal when I was going to school there, and they were selling, like, it was legal, but, you know, you were selling credit cards to people in America who couldn't get credit with interest rates of like, I had 50, 60, 70, like horrendous interest rates, and I couldn't do it for more than a day or two. And dress code is usually casual, or at best it's like half-ass business casual. So you'll see a lot of the times these places make guys wear business casual. So you see these like poor kids in giant baggy khakis and button-down shirts that don't fit right. You know, half of it hanging out of the bottom of their pants. You know, the quality of workers is dropouts, kids from poor neighborhoods, new immigrants, you know, the lowest of the low. And the call center managers are, you know, a special type of human garbage. In my experience, most of the time these guys resort to fear and intimidation. You know, I've seen guys yell at their staff on the floor, you know, treating people like they're garbage, basically. And you are a number, and you're not expected to stay there very long. It is not a nice place to work. But I can tell you this from firsthand experience: the call center is the best training ground for a salesman. Okay, because it is the fastest way to toughen up mentally. If you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. And a lot of times, making it in a call center is harder than corporate sales. You work harder, it's shittier, and you make less, but it is actually a harder job. Okay, it is a harder job than most people have working in a call center. It is a very fucking hard job, but if you can get through that and you can succeed there, you can succeed in any type of sales, because you're going to have that mental toughness. If you're a young guy and you're a poor guy and you're looking to make it in the big city, a lot of the time the call center is going to be the only place you can work. You know, if you can get a job quick there and you can make 70 grand. But I'm telling you, if that's what you need to do, then do it, and just don't stick around too long. Okay, but you can make money there, and it will toughen you the fuck up real quick. Number 2, the SME, small to medium-sized enterprise. So this is like a smaller mid-sized business. You're looking at 10 to 70 calls per day for inside sales. You know, 5 to 10 meetings a week for outside sales. Looking at about 1 to 2 hours on the phone. You've got a potential for travel, and you're expected to hit your numbers like all sales jobs are. Perks are you might have a car allowance, you might have a company car, you might have a company phone. Not guaranteed. And if you do have to travel, you will have your travel expenses paid for. The rundown in general is your earning potential will be a lot less than with a large company. So what the small to mid-sized enterprise is going to do is going to sell you on the potential to move up the ranks quickly. This is usually garbage, though. Okay, you're usually not going to move up. That's just the dream they're selling you. usually positions are solidified and it just looks like it's open, but you're not going to move up any faster than you would at a large company. And a lot of the times, many small to mid-sized companies operate month to month. They're trying to make payroll every single month, so they always have to worry about that, and they will actually be harder on underperforming salesmen and put more pressure on you than large companies. Large companies don't have to worry about payroll. They don't have to worry about any of that, and the guy who's managing you is very far removed from the owner and the shareholders, whereas in a small to mid-sized company, you could be working directly under the owner or under the guy who reports directly to the owner. So they're gonna be watching you like a fucking hawk. You can't hide like you could in a large company where, you know, the guy who's managing you, it's not his money, so he's not gonna have to be as hard on you. The culture is, it varies. Okay, usually though it's less uptight than a large corporation. Sometimes you can luck out and have like a fun all-guy culture, especially if you're in a branch environment where there's no HR staff. But many times you're going to be working face-to-face with the owner who's got a vested interest in you working hard and is usually going to walk by your desk a few times a day to hover over you. That's the reality. The SMEs are the most variable types of sales environments, and sometimes they'll be laid back, but sometimes they'll be a lot harder and higher pressure than large corporations. Working at an SME is not necessarily bad, but I would choose a large corporation 10 times out of 10 because it is overall a better environment for the salesman. And I'm going to break it down for you here. So this is what a large company looks like. You've got call volumes a lot of the time aren't going to be measured. Your call times aren't going to be measured. It's usually an outside sales job or a hybrid sales job. It's going to have more prestige. You're going to make more money. You're going to get a car allowance, company car, company phone, travel expenses. The large company is going to take a lot better care of you because they have a lot more fucking money and they're not worried about making payroll. When a company has $1 billion or $2 billion market cap, they're not worried about that shit. Okay. In general, they're the best places to work and pay the best and have the best benefits and have the most career security. Okay. The downside is it takes forever to move up. And you can pretty much forget about making the C-suite. You're not gonna. It is possible in an SME to move up to an executive position from salesman, but you're not going to do that in a large corporation. With that said, that shouldn't matter all that much to you guys, anyways, because you should not be pinning your hopes and dreams on someone else's company. You should be looking to get out and do your own thing. Sales cycles are usually longer in a large company, 6 months to a few years, and the large companies can usually sustain these cycles because they already have a ton of cash. And as I said, they don't have to worry about making payroll. Company culture is going to be a lot more boring and uptight and politically correct because there's always the chance of a lawsuit in a large corporation. People know they can get this huge payday, so large corporations have to have a heavy HR staff, and they have to be very strict about the kind of behavior that's going on to protect themselves from lawsuits. And most people who work at large corporations are these very neutered, boring, married motherfuckers who make work safe jokes. It's a very boring place to work on average. Now the sales floor is going to be more rowdy than that, but the sales floor at a large corporation is still usually going to be more tame than at a small to mid-size operation. So in general, large companies are the best places to work. Your salary, commission, benefits are always going to be higher, almost always going to be higher at a large corporation. Job stability is going to be better. In general, they're going to have a lower turnover rate, and there's always, there's less chance of your company going bankrupt. Whereas an SME can go under at any time. Okay, and you also work farther away from the owner, and so your revenue is not going to make or break the company, which means you're going to have a longer leash and you're going to have more ability to hide and slack off. Okay, and at the end of the day, you're in it for yourself. Okay, you're a wage slave, and you're trying to make the conditions as best as possible for yourself. So I would choose the large company if that's possible. If you're coming out of school and you have a BA and you're a nice looking kid and you dress well, go for the large company because they need that university degree. And if you have it, put it to use. That's going to be the only fucking use for your BA, is getting into a large company. If you don't have that, you might have to go work for an SME. But if you can get into start with a large company, start in outside sales, because it's going to be a lot easier on you than having to work your way up through the SMEs.